Too late for sorry. Riley never expected one mistake to destroy everything she loved, but it did. She and John had been together for years. Their friends called them unbreakable, and Riley believed that too until the night she crossed a line she could never undo. It happened at a friend's party. John was out of town for work, and Riley felt lonely, frustrated, and angry after another week of short calls and broken promises. When Marcus, someone she barely knew, flirted with her, she didn't push him away. The alcohol, the music, the unresolved emotions, it all blurred together. And in that moment of weakness, she betrayed the one person who trusted her most. The next morning, the guilt hit her like a storm. She confessed everything to John the moment he returned. Her voice shook as she spoke, expecting tears, maybe yelling. But John just stood there, frozen, silent. "Riley, why?" he finally whispered, his voice breaking. "I would be done anything for you." She reached for him, but he stepped back. "I made a mistake," she pleaded. "A stupid, horrible mistake. But it meant nothing. I swear." John shook his head. "It meant enough to destroy us." He packed a bag and left the apartment that same day. No dramatic goodbye, no final argument, just a quiet ending to what they had built. But Riley refused to let it end. Over the next weeks, she called, texted, sent long messages explaining everything: the loneliness, her fears, how she felt them drifting apart. She promised she would change. She promised she would fight for them. John read the messages, but never responded. So Riley tried harder. She waited outside his workplace just to see him. She wrote him letters. She tried talking to his friends, hoping they would convince him to meet her. But every attempt only pushed him farther away. One evening, she finally saw him walking home. She ran up to him, breathless, desperate. "John, please, can we talk? Just 5 minutes." He looked tired, or not angry, just exhausted from the pain. "Riley," he said softly, "talking won't change what you did." "I love you," she whispered. "I'll spend the rest of my life proving it." "You should have thought about that before," he replied. "I can't trust you anymore." His words hit her harder than any shout could. Riley watched him walk away, her heart collapsing with every step he took. She wanted to chase him, to scream, to beg again, but her legs wouldn't move. All she could do was stand there and realize that love wasn't always enough to fix everything. Over the next months, Riley tried to move on, but she couldn't. Her mind replayed their happiest moments, their plans, the future they were supposed to build. She tried therapy, journaling, anything to fill the emptiness, but it always came back to him. She still texted John sometimes, as short messages, simple questions, but he never answered. He wasn't cruel, he just couldn't go back. And Riley finally understood the truth. Some mistakes can be forgiven, but some change everything forever. John chose his peace. Riley chose to learn from the pain. And the love they once shared became a memory of beautiful, fragile, and irreparable. Weeks turned into months, but for Riley, time barely moved. Every day felt the same, heavy, quiet, and full of regret. She still checked her phone every morning, hoping for a message from John. Even a simple "I'm okay" would have meant the world. But the screen stayed empty. Riley never realized how much she depended on his presence until it was gone. His toothbrush missing from the bathroom, his jacket no longer on the chair, the empty side of the bed, every detail hurt like a fresh wound. But she didn't give up. Her last try one cold evening, Riley gathered all her courage and went to John's new apartment. She stood at his door, hands shaking, holding a small box with photos, letters, and the bracelet he once gave her. She knocked. The silence felt endless until John finally opened the door. He looked different, calmer, stronger, as if he had finally started healing. Riley's breath caught in her throat. "John, please. Just listen," she said softly. He didn't close the door, but he didn't invite her in either. "Riley," he sighed, "we've talked about this." "No, I talked. You barely let me explain." He crossed his arms, not in anger, but in tired self-protection. "I listened," he said. "I listened every time you reached out. I read everything. But nothing changes what you did." Riley held out the box. "These are our memories. I don't want to lose this. I don't want to lose you." John looked at it, then met her eyes. "You already lost me the moment you cheated," he said quietly. "I'm not the same person I was. And you're not the same to me." Her throat tightened. "But in trying, doesn't that matter?" "It does," he said gently. "Just not enough to rebuild trust." Weeks after Riley's final visit, life didn't magically get better for her. She went through the motions of work, home, sleep, but everything felt hollow. She stopped going to the places they once visited. She stopped listening to the songs they loved. Even her friends noticed the change. "Riley, you have to move on," her best friend Mia said gently. "I can't," Riley whispered. "I don't know how." John's new beginning. Meanwhile, John slowly rebuilt his life. He focused on his job, started exercising again, and even joined a photography club as something he always wanted but never had time for. One afternoon, during a club meeting, he met Sophie. She was warm, thoughtful, and had a calm presence that reminded him of peace. They talked for hours about traveling, music, and their hobbies. For the first time in months, John laughed a real, genuine laugh. He didn't feel ready for something new, but he felt himself healing. When he walked home that night, he didn't think about Riley. And that meant more than he expected. Riley's breaking point. A few days later, Riley saw a photo online, a group shot from the photography club. John was there, smiling, standing beside a girl she didn't recognize. Her chest tightened. She zoomed in on the photo, desperate for details. Their shoulders were close. They were laughing. He's moving on, she realized. And she wasn't. That night, Riley hit her lowest point. She threw her phone on the couch, covered her face with her hands, and let herself collapse. Her sobs were raw, exhausted, hopeless. But something inside her changed. For the first time, she understood that chasing John was no longer love, it was self-destruction. She grabbed her journal and wrote one sentence. "I need to save myself now." Riley started therapy. She stopped checking John's social media. She limited herself to one memory a day, and then slowly, none. She learned why she cheated, why she felt empty, why she clung so desperately afterward. It wasn't about John anymore, it was about healing the parts of herself she ignored for too long. Months passed, and she began feeling lighter. She laughed again. She painted again. She even went on a few casual dates, not because she wanted a relationship, but because she was finally learning to live without guilt. One sunny afternoon, Riley stopped by a bookstore. As she walked toward the exit, she froze. John was standing a few steps away, holding a camera bag, and beside him was Sophie. For a moment, the world went quiet. John saw her. Their eyes met. Not with anger, not with bitterness, just a soft, distant recognition. Riley smiled, a small, fragile, but real. "Hi, John," she said quietly. "Hi," he replied, with a gentle nod. Sophie smiled politely at Riley, not knowing their history. Riley took a breath. This time, she didn't hope for anything. She didn't beg. She didn't break. "Take care," she said. "You too," John answered. As they walked away, Riley felt something she never expected. Not the kind she begged for, not the kind she cried for, but the kind she earned by finally letting go.